As though there are monsters outside as well, it's really not a big deal. There's really no reason to be afraid. If a monster approaches you, just do a hat trick and then you'll distract it. So, Minish Cap might not have the best overworld design, but it does have some pretty solid dungeons, with the exception of one, but that's not this one. Deepwood Shrine is pretty fun, I gotta say, pretty solidly designed. It's fairly easy, of course, but hey, you know, it's the first dungeon, why would it be difficult? So, if you've never played a Zelda game before, the point of a dungeon is, well, just get to the end. But to get to the end, you need two things. You need a big key, and you need a dungeon item. This isn't the big key, it's a small key. And as Ezlo will say, we need the small keys to open these doors. Thanks, I never would have been able to figure that one out on my own. But anyway, we do need the dungeon item and the big key, but there are also two additional items, the map and the compass. The map is just a map of the dungeon, while the compass will actually display treasure chests and I believe also the boss. It usually displays the boss, but I forget if that's the case in this game. So, fairly simple puzzle. Grab levers. Also, if you happen to be playing this on an emulator and you're using a keyboard, well, I hope you're not using the shift keys as your little trigger buttons, because otherwise you can't hold that and the other buttons at the same time. Just throwing that out there, not to say that was ever a problem for me or anything. Certainly not. You can move one of those blocks if you need a shortcut, but we don't need to go back. So much of the dungeon is centered around that barrel right there, but we can't really do anything about that enemy. Yeah, I noticed the barrel. Okay, so anyway, can't really do much with the barrel at the moment. We have unhinged it a little bit, but that's not going to do much on its own. We can't pass under these hinges, by the way, and man, that dirt or dust or whatever that is really slows us down. That's a bit annoying. But yes, there's not really much we can do in the barrel at the moment because it doesn't move around. It's a little shaky, so if we press this other button, or should I say other buttons, oh no, whatever will we do? Maybe we should put this statue on one button and stand on the other ourselves. Oh man, what a surprise. What did I tell you? It's easy. So now the barrel is completely unhinged, so if we go back into it... Yep, that's the entire point, Ezlo. So, just shift it around. Oop, careful. I don't know how we didn't fall there, but hey, we didn't. Oh, and of course, we need a key. Alright, to the other side, I suppose. Because I know I didn't miss a key in those first few rooms. Because if I did, well, I'd feel a bit bad if I managed to miss something in there. It's kind of linear, there's really no way you can get lost in that case. And we can't move that block from this side. We can move it from the other side, but here, nope, we got nothing. Alright, I believe around here there's actually a heart. Oh! Well, I screwed that up completely. And yeah, you do lose a heart from doing that, because now I've only got 3/4 of that heart. Oh well. Oh, there's a box up there. And indeed there's a piece of heart in this room, but we can't access it from here. So what do we get? We get the map. As I guessed, we get the map. You don't usually get the compass before the map, because that would be a bit pointless. So now if we press L or R, we can see the whole layout. If you don't get the map first, then you won't be able to see any of the rooms other than the one you've been to. So, keep that in mind. Later we'll get the compass and we'll be able to see chests, which is a good way of checking to make sure you didn't miss anything. And yeah, just gonna show that there. Can't be moved from that side. Sometimes blocks are kind of weird like that. I don't know why they'd only be able to move from one side, but I guess that's just how they wall certain things off. Anyway, obvious puzzle. Oh, how do we keep that switch down? I was just gonna say that, Ezlo. You might have noticed earlier, but I did once accidentally shove a pot rather than pick it up. We can't actually stab pots to destroy them just yet. We can push them though, and that's useful a total of 2 times, maybe? I'm pretty sure there's at least one other puzzle in which you need to do that. And yeah, as he says, you can push or pull stuff. And if we just push this one, then we'll accidentally lock it out of, or we'll lock ourselves out of this, rather. And this gets us a small key. So now that we have that, we can get these out of the way. But yeah, I guess that's just there to introduce the fact that you can push stuff, which might be helpful. Well, it is helpful. Alright, well, take that, pot. That's what you get for helping me. Alright, so now that we have that small key, we can go back to the main room and go through that door that I wasn't able to go through before. So yes, it's a fairly linear dungeon and the path should be pretty obvious, but again, first dungeon, nothing too rough. I'd say the biggest problem is probably those mushroom things, just because they can make more dust or dirt or whatever, and at the moment they're pretty much invincible, so you don't want to mess with them. Alright, let's see. So the little skid marks here, kind of a hint of how far you need to go. Pay attention to them, because you don't need to go any farther than that. And if you do, you might just end up launching yourself into the water. You don't want that. Anything? Any hearts? I would like hearts. Would be nice. Would be nice to remove this mark of shame from my heads-up display. No? Nothing? Alright, anyway, here's another room where you can push things instead of pull things if you need to. Also, with these little slugs, if you hit them from the bottom, even our wimpy little sword can kill these guys in one hit. But from the top, yeah, we can't really kill them in one hit. We gotta go for their underbellies. So this is a bit more of a puzzle than the ones before. Gotta do this. There are actually a few different ways to handle this. You could move one out of the way first, but personally I prefer to do it like this. Move that one too far, then move the second one onto the switch. I think you can sort of do it the other way around, and, oh, the room's locked. Oh no, it's a mini-boss, but it's actually just these ladybug things. These guys are really easy. I mean, they do just, like, run around in circles, but they're not that difficult. They take a few hits, but other than that, it's really nothing worth getting worried about. So that's pretty much just worth the key. But where do we go now, you might ask? Well, we just go up, because there's a key path right here. And once you know it, more dirt. Cough, cough, I wonder if there's something we can do about all of this. Possibly. So, let's see. I think we should go down. Yeah, down, because there's a small puzzle here which we can't do too much about. Oh, looks like the chest is where we can't get it. And as Ezlo's going to say... Now, he might seem like he's pointing out the obvious, but I'm kinda glad he does do that, because I'm fairly certain child me probably would have tried to find a way to get that chest early. But you can't, you gotta do it later. So anyway, this is what the compass does. See, now we can see where chests are. And yeah, indeed, it shows a little skull where the boss is. But we're still a little ways off the boss, so no need to worry about that. After all, we haven't even found the dungeon item yet. But we are getting close. Oh hey, what do you know, there are actually 2 heart pieces. I actually legitimately forgot about that. So we will actually be able to get a new piece of heart here. In fact, speaking of, or heart container rather, but yeah, speaking of piece of hearts, that, I think we're actually getting near the, wow, really? How did I miss at point blank range? Anyway, you can take care of the mushrooms with pots, but of course those are in limited supply, and they're not really going to help too much. You can't enter from the bottom door there, but we do have a mini-boss that we can take care of. You gotta boop his nose with a sword and then stab his butt a whole lot. Afterwards he'll be invincible, but you just repeat it. You just repeat the phase after this, and he might speed up a tiny little bit, but he's not aggressive, like he doesn't actively go after you, so you just keep away from him, and he's probably not going to hit you, because he's just doing his own thing over there. Just mindlessly standing in place and not doing much of anything. Oh yeah, and also just make sure to acknowledge the fact that you can hit him more than once with your sword. You gotta rapidly tap the button. Anyway, we got our first dungeon item. So, the Gust Jar is actually pretty cool. It's a fairly unique item in the Zelda series. You can use it to suck up webs and the dirt that's been on the ground. Yep, we can take care of that. It'll also take care of those mushroom things we've been dealing with. So now we've got a better method than just using jars to kill those things. The power of your suction doesn't usually matter too much, but I would just like to point out that it does go from blue to yellow to red, and the suction does get more powerful as you hold it out. I'm not going to take care of these webs because they'll just respawn, so even though I want to clean this place up, I won't. The Gust Jar can also be used to pick up pots, but that's usually not too useful because you'll just end up smashing them, so it's not good for switch puzzles. And speaking of switches, now there is that switch there, but I believe there's more than one, correct? Yeah, it seems there's two? I thought there was 4, but could be wrong. Nope, just 2. So we got mysterious shells. We'll figure out what to do with these things later. I'm looking forward to that. You can tell by the excitement in my voice, right? Anyway, mushrooms are a bit more complicated than just sucking them up with a Gust Jar. We gotta just remove the color from them somehow, and then kill them with a sword slash. And, oh yeah, and also, when you stop using the Gust Jar, it actually does shoot out a little gust of wind, which I think does help from time to time, but it's not as useful as sucking. So we did open up a portal right there. Portals are usually shortcuts within the dungeon, though in this case, it might be a shortcut, but it also serves to bring us to that heart piece. The portals will appear at the beginning of the dungeon, so we're going to have to backtrack a little bit if we want that heart piece. Alright, so what do we get from this? We get more shells. We do want plenty of these things. You can carry up to 999 of them. And you're going to want as many as possible, and I'm not taking care of you guys again. Seriously. What is with this respawn rate? And even more shells. Shells. Whatever could they be used for? I think it's still going to be a while before we can see, actually. I think that's one of the things we can't find until after the second dungeon. Not quite sure about that, though. So if we suck up this web, it's just... oh, whoops. And thankfully we just land in shallow water. So, a nice function of the Gust Jar. Can't hit that past me, I'm sorry. Can't take care of those guys early. But you can suck in stuff like... you can suck in stuff like lily pads. Yeesh. So I do actually like this bit of design here, because it's a bit of a subtle way of saying, hey, it can affect objects outside of yourself, because, you know, you have to use the Gust Jar to get here, so when you find yourself there, it's not like you can possibly get stuck, but, you know, there's no other way to do anything, but you can use that handy new dungeon item of yours, and it allows you to get a new, and it allows you to progress. Wow, good job there, slugs. Just fall right into the water. Can't do anything about that locked door, so guess we go this way. So this is a pretty neat, wouldn't really call it a puzzle, but more of a segment. And it's not too boring, because, you know, you do have to repeatedly use the Gust Jar, but it moves fairly quickly. Of course, maneuvering around the enemies can be fairly difficult. And this is actually the puzzle I was thinking about earlier, the one where we actually have to shove a vase around, or a pot around, rather. I thought this actually appeared later on, but apparently I was wrong. Oh, thank goodness, we got a heart. We can erase my horrible mistakes. It's like I never even got hits. But anyway, yeah. Thankfully, I don't think there are too many more enemies, unless some slugs want to fall from the ceiling. Anybody want to try? Come on. It's really entertaining when you do it. Anybody? Anybody? No, just these annoying fly guys. Don't you dare. Hey. Anyway, yeah, this is how you get this treasure. Ta-da! And if you didn't actually make the treasure chest appear before, well, the lily pad can act as a bridge, so you can do the puzzle now. How handy. Oh yeah, and since we don't need this pot anymore, guess we can break these. See if I can get anything out of these. But it doesn't seem like anything's going to respawn, unfortunately. Oh, well, got an extra 5 rupees, which isn't really going to be helpful. At the beginning of the game, the cap for the number of rupees you can get is only 100, which is very low. I mean, considering I'm already at 86, it should be obvious, but we're going to reach that cap pretty quickly. Thankfully, it doesn't take too long to get the bigger wallets in this game. So, we're not going to be stuck at 100 rupees for too long, which is good because I hate it when I'm at max money and I just can't collect any more money. I mean, I do collect it, but, you know, it just goes to waste. Though I never did like the Twilight Princess method of letting you leave rupees in chests if you had the max amount of money, because, to be fair, I'm never going to be back to get those chests. So why would it keep me from obtaining the rupees even if I don't need them? Also another nice piece of little subtle hinting that you need to use the Gust Jar is that, because of course you've sucked up dirt by this point, so it leaves a little dirt around that mushroom, so you know, hey, I should use the Gust Jar to bring that mushroom over to me. I mean, overall it's fairly obvious because it's the only item we have other than the sword, but still I think it's a nice little bit of design. That looks more like a necklace, but anyway, yes, we now have both the items we need to get to the boss. And we also make another portal, which is very nice, because now we don't need to backtrack. And also, we can nab this thing. So I guess we couldn't get a full heart container before the first dungeon, but we did get it during it. That's pretty handy. So I believe the left path doesn't actually lead you anywhere important, right? It's just like restocking items. Oh, wait. Should be able to move this, right? Yeah, good. So, oh boy, 20 rupees. Yep, we're at max. Alright, well, before we get any more rupees that we don't need, I'm just going to open up this path. You can only do this from this side, of course, because you're blocked from the other side. But you gotta keep on using the mushroom. Gotta use it twice, in fact. Oh man, what a tricky puzzle. We have to use it from over here first. Whoa! And with this, we're at the end, and since I don't need any hearts, we can just proceed to the boss room. Oh look, it's little Chew. How's it going, dude? Just gonna hop on over on top of the temple. I wonder what that is. Ah well. So, in the boss room, there doesn't seem to be anyone here. Well, I guess we can just take the... Oh, darn it. The first boss in the game is... a giant green Chew. Oh, of course, technically speaking, this is a normal-sized Chew, and we're just tiny, but whatever. So, simple enough, boss. He's kind of aggressive in that he's pretty much constantly going after you. But you have to suck off his little bottom bit there with the Gust Jar, and then he's going to try to land on top of you with his big ol' head. So just slash him a bunch of times. And like with a mini-boss, you can't slash him more than once, you don't just have to do one hit on him. I mean, if you just do one hit at a time, this is going to go very slowly, so hopefully your button mashing skills are good. I kind of like rolling past him when his head's about to fall, because it seems like he's actively trying to smush you, so if you go under him, then he's actually going to fall immediately. I'd just prefer he not, you know, make me wait or anything like that. He does get faster and more aggressive as time goes on, and he does jump around even in the middle of a fight. But even so, as long as you're just ready to move, it's not really that difficult. And I see, you're trying something, I know it. You're not fooling me. And yep, as long as you're fast enough for those button presses, he should only die in 3 cycles. Heck, he might die in 2 if you're good enough. I'm not quite sure about that, though. If you've got a good thumb, you might be able to do it. But with that green Chew dead, for some reason, a Chew from the outside of this temple allows us to get the first element. I don't know how it managed to guard it, even though it doesn't really seem like it lives here. But yes, this is the earth element. It looks like a really weird tooth, and honestly, it kind of looks like a gummy candy to me. It always looks kind of weird. It's a gummy tooth. So you get a heart container for beating the boss, and with that we get a free portal out of here.